Yo, what's up, my dudes? This is Lucas, and I'm super stoked to do a full tutorial on Livewire. Like, I will include as well my opinion because I've been using it for a couple months. It's a cool thing. It has its ups and downs though, and like some places where you have to need to be really careful. I'm gonna point all of that out, and I'm gonna give you my opinion as well. So let's just start from scratch and create a new Laravel app. And since I'm such a nice guy, obviously I'm gonna create this tutorial GitHub as well that you can look up. So whatever I do should be ending up there, so you can follow really closely. And to show the welcome screen, you could just do PHP artisan serve, which gives you the page, or as I use it is art serve, which is just alias, is that how you pronounce it? So yeah, it's correct. It's alias for PHP artisan, but it's shorter, and I feel like an artist when I write it like that, right? But I personally actually like setting it up under Nginx, so it's not served through this, but Nginx instead. But that is a different discussion as a matter of taste, as both will work just fine. So when the setup is done, you can see that that's run under Nginx because, yeah, it has the domain name that I gave it here. But let's get right into it, and let's create actually a Livewire component and see what it can do. I think that's the easiest way to learn it. Ooh, and I almost forgot, before you can do that, you have to install Livewire as a composer package, obviously. So we just copy this over, and that's it. So, and after we installed it, we can create a new component. Livewire make first component. Show some love. I'm gonna put no here because I think I already like the repo. And that's it. That created a component. But what did it actually create? Good thing I started a Git repo, because now I can see like, oh, there's something new. Yeah, obviously, right? I installed Livewire. So that should be in there. And we see as well the Livewire component, first component. So it created a PHP class here and the Livewire blade file. All right, let's jump right into those. So we can see here, so the PHP class is in the app HTTP Livewire folder, and the view is down here. I personally am not a big fan that things are so doing a split, you know, because you work hand in hand. Like if you change this, you usually want to change that one as well. So to make it easier for it to work together, like one way is like I have this component open, this class, right? And I can jump right into this view with a little bit of luck, yeah, it can follow it, but it doesn't find the way back. So if I'm here, it's hard to find the way back. So what I do always is I do this. I create a little entrance here where I write a little bit PHP doc, and I say first component. So I just take this. And this gives me ease of access. So all my Livewire views have this at the top, so I can follow this to the definition. So if this is closed, well, where's the view? Nothing is open. So I open this view and I can follow it, and I'm right there. If I want to go back, I can go here, and this is super easy. So, but let's actually let's do something, you know. So let's just play with a number first. Yeah, we're gonna make more, and we're gonna work with the database as well. But now we just play with a number. So we say public, and here we could define int and then define the name. So I just got a call. I'm a little bit distracted. So where was I? And it wasn't even like a hot girl or something, you know, it's just boring stuff. Okay, anyway. So I changed this to something. It doesn't matter. Amount. Okay. And why is he complaining now? He wants the wrong PHP version here. Let's put 8, because that's what we're using. So I should be happy now. Yes. So I can integer to an amount, and we set it to 0 to start with. Then we go to our component and we display this. Okay. All right, that should display it. The thing is, we currently don't have a page. We just have this welcome page, and we're gonna use this. This is good enough for us. Yeah, we're not difficult. Right, and now we're gonna use the Livewire component in the view with Livewire. Come on, help me. First component. I think that's is that the right syntax? Okay, we have empty body, so we can. What is it? We can remove tag? No, actually, like he's complaining. Ah, there you go. Because if it's empty body, you don't have to. You can do it like that. Okay, let's see what we get. We get a 0. Wow, that's so amazing. I should write a book. No. Okay, so we're able to display 0, but the fun just starts now. Okay, namely what we can do here is we can say, actually, we make an input, type text, and we give it a model. Let's do it in a separate step. Wire model, we say amount. So we display the amount, but we say like, oh, this is something magical with model. So let's reload. Oh, I can't see the input. Let me add some style. So I added a little style so you can actually see it, that there's something. So we say amount, and so we have the amount here, and let's just do something here. So I was like, that doesn't work. Well, yes, I forgot something in the installation. So you have to add these two things. You only do this once, right? And it's easy to forget. So you add these two. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck at the same place. So we quickly add these things. Oh. Scripts at the bottom, styles in the head. Okay. Let's try again. Oh, there's the 0. So now if we put 2, now look at that. Wait, do I still have it the same? This is 0. I can write 2 or 300. This is updating fairly quickly. But look at this. If I remove this, we get error. Let's zoom out so you can see it. Cannot assign string to property. That's one quirk of Livewire. They try to, since we type hint here to integer, as soon as we give empty string here in this input as value, instead of putting it to 0 like we expect, it puts it to empty string. And then it complains about this. So sadly, you cannot use integer type hints for this. Yeah, you can probably do this instead. Yeah. So this way you don't have the support from PHP, but at least you don't get error. Look, let's try again. Let's reload. It's 0, right? Now we empty it. There's no error this time because it doesn't complain about the integer. Okay, enough about this integer. This is pretty cool. Now you can write something and it updates it on the backend directly. That's the beauty of it, right? That's one of the biggest beauty on with Livewire. What it actually does, it sends a request to the server. So when we type here something, let's go to the network tab here, and we type, then it's actually sending something. Yeah, and it's sending this information down there. You can not see it. It's sending this, it sends like fingerprint, server memo, there's a checksum, and it's sending the amount. Yeah, and it updates the server with this. So, but you might wonder, yeah, and what does that solve for me? What problem does it solve? Well, you can send it as normal form submission as well. Well, that's true, but you would have to create a form, an endpoint, I mean, a route, and you would have to usually use a controller, and what you can't do is like inline update it easily, or without visually changing to the page. Yeah, this is more like a little bit, it's not a single page application, but it's more a little bit in that direction, because you can update things on the fly and the user is not disturbed by a whole page reload. Yeah, it's all about the page is not reloaded. So it's not solving something specifically apart from, it's making it easier for you and it's making it better for the user. Yeah, because he can input stuff and he gets updates directly. Yeah, he's changing this and this changes. So what does not work? Well, if you make it private, it won't work. It's going to complain. Undefined variable. If we make it protected, it's the same thing. Undefined variable, so it needs to be public. And herein lies a certain danger. I'm only talking about this integer. We can have, let's have some more fun. I'm actually going to run the migrations, and so we have some users, then we can load user data, we can change names and like something, not just a stupid amount. And to install and get some users, we're going to use Laravel Breeze here, and yeah, I'm going to skip through that so you don't need to watch me do it. So, and after installing Breeze, by the way, we installed it with just the normal installation. We didn't do inertia, yeah, because we want to do Livewire, yeah, not inertia. Okay, and we see one thing I noticed I like, yeah, they have like a separate auth file now, which is very good. So I just go to the register route and I create myself this test user with name, my test name, this beautiful email, yeah, I register, which logs me in, and hopefully created the entry in the database. So if I look in the database, I create a bunch of more users. You can see they got created, they have some names, and they have a password and email, yeah? So now what I want to do now is actually I want to select one of the users here. To do this, we're going to create a new component. We're done with this first component. We want to have a user select component, okay? Let's call it user selector. Okay, let's create it again, these files, which are very far in between and apart, but we don't care. Okay, we just do this. So we usually do user selector. Does not exactly do what I wanted to do, but it's a quick fix, yeah. So here's our component, the user selectors. Now we give it a list of users. It must be public again. And we say, we just say an array of of users. Okay. And as I cannot set it to the list of users here because I have to access the database. So how do we fix that? How can we set this? What we usually would do in the constructor, we would say like users all, right? But in Livewire this is a little bit special. We have a function called mount, which is the constructor function basically. Because Livewire does behind the curtains, it does stuff which I guess is part of getting re-instantiated. Not entirely sure what they actually do, but they have their own logic for the constructor. We don't want to mess around with it. So this is the function that they give us, which is called like a constructor, yeah? Because Livewire does actually store state somehow, yeah? We're gonna look at that better, yeah? So I'm gonna say users equal user all. And let's go to user selector. And let's just give the users out and see that we're okay. And we have to add it to the, so we're done with first component. Can I assign collection to property? Oh, which makes sense because I said array, but yes, to array. All right. So we have this beautiful array. By the way, could we use collection? Yes, we can use collection. Just remove, or we can say as well collection here. Not even quite sure. Is it a support? I think, yeah. Oh. I think it's an allocant collection, but I think the contract actually matches. Yeah, you can see. If you call the all method on the user model, it's gonna return an allocant collection, which is not a standard collection. Like a standard collection would be. Remember that it says allocant here, yeah? We just collect 1, 2, 3. Here it says allocant. What does it say now? Oh, it doesn't say allocant anymore. It's not the same. Eventually we're gonna come back to that. So this is actually wrong. Let's import the other one. There's a bunch more functions, or I think the allocant collection can do more things or less. I'm not even entirely sure. So we get all the users and we put them out, yeah? So this works. We have all the users as models, not as array any longer. And let's say now we want to select the user. Can we do this? Now we do an integer type hint. Because as we saw before, empty value is not good. So we cannot type hint, sadly. And we say, no, we don't have to initialize actually. Right, because this is just empty. Or should we initialize to 0? No, we don't initialize, and we say public select user, or we do the select thing, you know, just to indicate it doesn't matter how you name it. And we give him, and say here, not sure if user ID. Selected user is the user ID. So I gave it this weird name to make sure it's not related to, like, they're not related. You can name this anything you want. So now actually let's I mean the user selector blade. Let's actually make it so you can select something. As you, or should I call it user? Yeah, okay. So we give it the spit out the name here. So this is normal template. Okay, so we have the 3 names. And now we want to select them once we click on this. Maybe we give this a style that it looks more like a button. Well, let's do it. I don't have imported anything, right? Style. I would have to change the flex direction. Let's just do it like this, yeah? We give him a max width. We can even do a margin top. So can you see, your intellectual eye can see that these look like buttons, and you can make it hover as well, right? Maybe just add the cursor pointer. Oh, it looks more like a button now, right? Okay, and how do you make that you can click something? Well, Livewire has a lot of cool features that make it really easy. It's called wire click, yeah? And now we give the function that we defined before, which I don't remember anymore. This one, do the select thing. And this is actually expecting a user ID. So we give it that as well. Oh, well, what have I done? I've done something. I set a breakpoint. We give the user ID. And let's not overdo it, huh? Let's just put out the select user here. The user or nothing, because at the beginning I don't think it's set to anything, right? Set to nothing. Now we select one, and now it shows 2. I'm not sure if that would be error actually. Would it be error? No, it's not error. Okay. So you can see we can select. Let's make it a little bit more pretty. Like, so you understand what the idea is, right? So we set the styles here. Let's set one. Select. Why does it change it? Then we give. Actually, we already have a background color. Well, then it's salmon or tomato. What else is gray? Wow, and it works. Isn't it pretty? And like, this is without any JavaScript. Yeah, so it is super fast to do something like that. And it's good. There are issues with it though. But I just wanted to show you this functionality. Let me think if I want to show something extra. No, let's go with something more normal before I go into the nitty-gritty details. Let's do actually a form, right? Like a validation, because that's what you need all the time. You need form validation. You want to submit something basically, right? Which is a lot easier with Livewire. And afterwards, after we have the basics out of the way, I can say what are like issues and where you need to be careful. Where I see like the disadvantage of Livewire, because so far it's amazing, yeah. This is great. So what I have in mind is actually to create our own login, no, I mean register component, registration component, and we're gonna be fancy, okay? We already did 2 components, okay, we're kind of pro now. Well, there's still details, but now let's do a wizard. Yeah, right? Let's create a little wizard because it's fun. I think it's good example, and let's go. Let's do it again. Livewire make registration wizard. I don't mind if you call them components actually. Registration wizard component. But let's do it like this for the moment. So I created this. You know what? I'm gonna copy this time because I know what I'm gonna do. Right? We're gonna do this again. Come on, give me the help I need. Give me no help. Okay. Okay, so how do you create a wizard? So first we give in the name and email address. No, let's just say email address, then name and email. Then the second step pass. It doesn't make sense to use a wizard here really, but let's do it anyway, right? So name, email, then you press next, and then you give in a password. Yeah, let's do that. So for this we need an email, we need a name, and we need a password. And since when it's empty it's sending a string, we're not going to have errors with those, or at least we shouldn't. So let's make and we have to know as well current step, which is, should we do it 0 based? Okay, 0. Step 0. No, come on, let's do it 1 based. This is the exception where you actually go 1 based, because if you display the step and it's not the same as in the back, I don't know. Sometimes 1 based isn't so bad, you know. So how do we do the 2 panels that we have in the wizard? I think it's necessary to do it with display none or display block, yeah, because Livewire somehow needs the components available on the page. If you use like if step equals 1, then something, and otherwise not, then Livewire is like a little bit confused. So let's do it with a display 1, which is basically this. I don't have any framework installed. I should have added Bootstrap, but let's do display block. Need this. Let's go with the negative. No, let's go with positive. Display none. Okay, step 1. And the same for step 2. Step 2. And now we button. Guys, you remember, you recall this, what was it? Click, set, step. This set. It doesn't matter, you know, it doesn't need to have this wording inside, like it's always confusing. Progress wizard, let's call it like that. Let me do step 2. I don't want to confuse you with the word step, like, and you think like, oh, it's a magical. It's not magic, okay? There's almost no magic. Oh, magic. I hope I'm not shattering your dreams. Okay, there is magic, maybe. I don't really know. To where? This current step. Oh, it's called current step. You can call it anything. You can call it step here, whatever. Progress wizard. And its current step. Progress with 1, 2. So let's do this big here. Nothing. I didn't use the registration wizard. Okay. Now it should load, right? Okay, we're on step 1. We go. Why are the buttons so ugly here? Anyway, step 2. It goes to step 2, right? So we can go to different steps, like in a wizard. Okay, that's something. Let's do the inputs and whatever. My keyboard is not where I want it to be. Text. And we say wire model is name and email. And what did we say last? Password. What is it? Password? Type password. And then we have a button, which is normally you would say type submit. Come on, type submit. Right? Not in this case, or input. That's what you normally do, right? But not in this case. I mean, you could, but you would have to write a form, you would have to write an endpoint, you know, a router, a route. It's so boring. We can do it all here, no problem. Submit me. Are we having problems? It's so ugly. Let's make it a little bit. Like, we're not difficult. But sometimes you should be a little bit. Can we do it like this? Yeah. Yeah. Is it gonna look shit? I should watch my language, huh? Maybe kids are watching. Or you? No, it's okay. I think you dudes can take it, okay? With flex direction. Oh, is this gonna make it vertical? At least I think so. Da-da-da, we're vertical. It's not so nice, but it's a little bit closer to what I wanted, yeah? And step 2. Oh god, why is it so wide? Oh, because we don't have a label. Password. Okay, the submit me is too wide. Okay. It's fairly ugly still. I'm honestly a little bit embarrassed. I should have thought like about adding something simple so it doesn't look absolutely trash, but okay, we have this. The buttons down here are, by the way, only for debug. Huh? We're not actually using that for anything, right? At least in the final version, right? This is just like, so is our sanity in check and does it work, you know? What we forgot is a next button up here, actually. Right here we say next. We make this small too if we need to. I think we need to. Okay. The problem is currently I can go next. Oh. I'm sorry, I can't. It's because I set it to 1, whereas it should have been 2. No, the problem is that I currently can go next without filling anything, right? So that's not what we want. We want to have validation here when we press next. So how can we do this? We actually, what I usually do is, why doesn't it find anymore? Is we do a boolean here. Skip validation. And let's go with positive, not negative. Skipping is negative, right? Validation is true by default. And then in the view, we set validation to false here. So, and if this validation, if we have this validation, then we validate. So if validation, then we use this validate. Validate is a magic method. There still is magic, right? And it's from Livewire. There's a bunch of them actually. You can have a quick glance in the lifecycle hooks on the Livewire page. Here we see mount. Not sure, like, I haven't used this before. Like, why is it so far up? Because it's not alphabetically, is it? Yeah, okay. Hydrate and dehydrate. I think hydrate is before updating. I'm not entirely sure. I've used it once or twice. I've used some of those updating FUIs. Like if it updates a property, I have used those once or twice, but not much. What you really need is mount and validate, but it's a different one. Okay, validation, disvalidate. So it's a magical method and it takes rules, as we can see here. I hope you can read this. It says rules, then messages, if you want to have custom messages instead of the standard ones, and attributes, which is exactly what you want to have access to, basically. Yeah, rules is what you need most, and messages if you have to have something custom made, which is with bigger projects is almost always the case. But actually, yeah. Anyway, so there you would have it. So we say name, and we go with required. Oh, and email as well. And we say as well, I think email, right? So in this magic method will, if it fails, then it will return to the view with the right things set. So this is already quite verbose. Here we can say error name. Yes. Then we display color red. We make the message red and we give it a message. I think this is the notation. And for email we do the same, but we take email. Yeah. We reload and we say next. The email field is required. Bam! Faster than lightning. And here we would have to set something again so it doesn't look totally ugly. Or we can do this. And make it a little bit smaller. We can give it, you know, a class. My error. Actually, I'll do this while you don't watch. Or should I? Let's do it. My class, my error. Color, right? Font size. There you go, it's a little bit better. Okay, so we're quite happy with this. So we give it a name and before initialization. I think Livewire is trying to do something there in the backend. So it doesn't like it that it's empty. So we use the good old, we can just set it like this. But if you can't do this, because sometimes you can't, right? You can always use the mount, because you can't do it because you can only assign basically constant values here. If you need something dynamic, you obviously would do it here. Yeah, but now at the moment we use mount in the other one, right? Here we use mount. Now we don't use mount. Okay. So let's try this again. It actually looks a little bit better if it's not like a super scale up. Let's see if we get email. Must be a valid email address. Hey, this is a pure blessing, huh? Not like this is a very valid email address, but so we are at the password now, and we can do the password one. So currently we have this here, and obviously if you have a wizard, you could have many more steps. So you could split up the rules and say like step 1, you know. Step 1 rules, rules 1 maybe, rules 1. And it's always a little bit confusing. Let's call it my rules. My rules 2 password. And we say, is it min? I think it's min. Min 6. Actually, let's set this a little bit outside. This validate. So we validate against the rule from current step. Okay, so it always picks the right rule. Just a 1. Now we say, hey, it's not doing anything. It's because I haven't used the submit button yet. We need a submit function, right? Let's do wire click. Actually do submit. I give these weird names because I don't want to confuse the beginners here. Like there's no magic involved, yeah? And actually do submit needs to have access to all rules. But because they're static, we can Actually, we can extract them into a function. Make it static. So this just created the function for me. I had my editor do it for me, the extraction, and looks good. And when we do submit, we have the all rules and get rules. So, and I ran into a problem. I didn't give this a fancy name, and the function name getRules is actually already used by the component. GetRules, you see? So we cannot do this. We need to call it different. So it wasn't working, and I was like, what's going on? Static function, my getRules. So it doesn't overwrite the thing from Livewire itself. Then we can use static again. I was like, what's going on? My getRules. All right. So on the my getRules returns this nested array, which we cannot really use because on submit we actually want to validate everything, not only step 2, because otherwise someone can mess with the data that we have. And I'm actually going to show this later on, how you mess, how to hack a Livewire application. And people are saying, it's not really hacking. Okay, I get it, but it sounds better, Or where are security loopholes, that you don't think about when you start out with this for sure. So actually, we have to do this into a flat. So flat rules equals, we do the collection here, collect all rules. Because I asked this function map with keys. Yeah, that takes an item and the key. And we just return the item, which removes one level. Basically, it removes this level here. Go by. Maybe there's a faster way to do it. But we want the flat rules, not array values. Flat rules is a collection here, so we have to call to array. So I was like, okay, now everything is correct, so why doesn't it work? And I forgot to add the error down here. I only added it up there. Yeah, and we have this beautiful, beautiful piece of art. And we created here. So does it work? We can submit the password. Must be at least 6. Okay, we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. And we could submit now, and we're going to implement quickly the logic for submission, which is basically just creating a user. Import it. Name. There's a different way to do it. You could use the create, but I don't like it. Not nearly as much. The reason I don't like the create function so much is because it's harder to find references depending on your editor, and you don't really gain anything. What else? Password? Oh, this is always, I think it's hash make, or is it password make? I quickly looked and it's hash make. So we submit this. It doesn't go anywhere. Did it do anything? It did, right? Wow, this is so great. Woo! We got, okay, I think this is enough from this wizard. We spent enough time there. We could add like a beautiful thank you message or redirect, you know. We can still return redirect and go home, you know. Get out of here. Let's change the email to 2. Let's make it again. And it's taking us home, which is basically this page just empty. All right, my dudes, now we're gonna look into like some security aspects, like actually problems, I would say, that Livewire has. And it's very important that you know about those. Okay, let's get right into that. So I'm gonna create a new, so we're just creating a new component. Let's go. We add it here. Come on. And now we are gonna create a situation where there's actually a security issue. We are gonna give this a user ID. Actually like this. Like Livewire prefers this, what is it, camel case? If you use like underscore, sometimes you have problems, at least in the older versions. So what do? We're gonna display now only user information on this page. Let's do this again. See, oh. See security problem. Let's go. What we do is we're gonna display. We're gonna hand this a user. Okay, we're gonna do user find user ID. Yeah, we're gonna search for a user and we're gonna hand it in here. Then we say user, I think name is the thing, right? An email. We're gonna make this big so you can see it. Okay. And let's see what it looks like. No, actually, there's still an issue. We don't assign one. So we do it. Let's just do it like this. There's 2 ways to do it, right? We can say user ID equals 1. And that should automatically assign it to the user ID here. Let's see if it works. Oh. Over here. Undefined variable. Oh, I passed it wrong. Obviously. Haha, silly me. I'm so embarrassed. Okay, and here it works. So there's the name, and here's the email. So what's the problem now? How is this insecure, man? But it is. It is very insecure. So now I forgot, like, what database are we actually using? We're using MySQL, LW app, okay. So, do we have users? We do have users. I already created them. It's a different day. That's why I forgot. I'm sorry, guys. So, we have different users. And the user I got was the user 1 I chose here in the welcome, right? So, can we, like, now sneakily get the information of other users? Well, yes, you can. Oh, not this one. Okay, it's fairly small. Let me show you like this. So this is JavaScript code. And this is, so it's JavaScript code, yeah? JavaScripty, okay? And you say, give me all Livewire components. In this case, there's only one. And access it, which is an entry 0. And then we set the user ID to something else. Let's say 2. And this way you can change it. See, now I can access the other user, even though I said in the view that give this the number 1. And then you can argue, so like we can argue any user now. We can withdraw any user information. And depending on how you make your logic, and like let's say there's some update fields here, like you can edit the name and whatever, then you could edit their email address. So, like I want just to showcase, it doesn't like it, if you, it's not related to this. It's related to the whole Livewire problematic. You can say as well user ID equals 1 here, and we reload, and it's this is still the user 1, and I still can change it. And I still, what if we use mount with, well, mount is the same. Like we could say like user ID like so, and then we say, well, the thing is, it's the same, user ID 1. Still gonna do this, and you still can change it. But I just realized there's no difference in the notation here on this thing. You can, okay, so you're able to change integers. Are you able to change other things? Let's just quickly go back to the, let's get rid of the mount. What if we, instead of having the user ID here, let's actually get the mount back, we say user. This user is this. Like instead of user ID, we use the object. Like this is a way you can actually protect against this, is instead of using integers, you use the eloquent model directly. I hope I don't get it wrong here. Now we say user. This double dot means it's actually code inside. If like this, it's just string. If you do double dot, it tells Livewire, hey my dude, this is code, like you need to interpret it. So you can write something like this. You get the first user, just because we're lazy, right? We could find by ID as well. And we removed user ID. We don't have this user ID anymore. And because it's a public property, like this is available in the view anyway, because it's here and it's public. So the view knows about it. We don't need to pass it like this. And it loads the user. Can I change it now? No. Okay, this is, now you could say like, okay, let's go with user.id equals 2. And it changes something, but nothing. Let's go with name. You see, it updates something, but it doesn't really do it, as you can see here. Email Dirk. Can you even read that? Oh no, you cannot even see what I'm doing down there. Like so. So the things you type in there is it just basically doesn't work with models. It would work as well with arrays, but not with models. They put in like a protection against it. And yeah, there's that. For ones who are unable to read the small letters, this is what I try to do. And it basically doesn't do anything, yeah? Okay, user exists. Can we even, maybe we can print it out here. That's not even relevant. Let's reload. Let's see what we actually get when we output this. Oh. So it gives us a proxy. I'm sorry guys, it's so small, I know. Was it a handler? I think it just has get and set. Anyway, so this is a way to secure it by giving elegant models. Elegant models have a security mechanism in them, and you can only change something in the model if you give it rules, you know. You give some rules where you define what you can change. If you like specifically specify in the rules that you can change the user ID, then the user can do it. If you give like a number, they can do whatever they want. So be careful with that. You need to understand that. And it's not clear from the documentation. So that's one very interesting aspect. I think it's integers, it's int, it's array, you can change string. And I think that's about, like, all the primitives you can change. And arrays as well. I don't think you can change collection. But I'm not entirely sure. But yes, so these are insecure. And these are secure. I think it's secure. And model too. Okay. There's another way as well to make this secure. If you want to use user ID, let's actually go back to user ID here. I'm gonna leave this so you can, you know, I'm gonna put it on GitHub. I'm not sure if anyone is gonna try this out, but so you can try out for yourself. So I'm gonna commit this so you understand the security implications of things. It's always good, no? User ID equals 2. Oh, it doesn't work. That's because we mount here. Oh my god. Oh, I forgot to set it here, right? Actually, we can set it here. Say 1. Now we can set it to 2 again. Yeah, it still works. Ooh, thank God. So there's a project as well that, because this is an issue with this user ID and whatever, when you actually don't want to deal with it, you can make the user ID safe as well by using one of the events. Okay, we're at the Livewire page. They have so they have one of these hooks called updating foo. Now you can, in theory, right? The bug is does still exist. Yes. So what you can do is you can as well write updating user ID, and I think this is like new value. I think they give as well old value. I'm not sure anymore. Let's check. Come on, show me. Oh, they just give the value. You have the old value, right? You have it here in user ID is old value. And then you can do if not equals new value, throw new exception bad boy. Bad boys, what you gonna do when they come for you? Okay, sorry guys. So what happens? Oh, I just tried to change it. I tried to hack my way in the system, and I'm getting the bad boy exception. I'm having more fun than you guys watching this, don't you? Don't you think? All right. So this is a way to protect it. It was tedious. You have to write a function. You say when it's updating, then it like throws an error. Oh, it's so much work. So can you do it easier? Yes, you can. you can install this package. I actually haven't really tried this out, but I saw it, and you can just annotate it and say like they have front-end access. So this needs PHP 8, but these are like annotation. This is not a comment. This is actually something real, and it prevents front-end access. I think no, it gives front-end access. Oh yeah, it's in here. Sorry guys, it's just one. And you can do the same where you withdraw front-end access, block front-end access. And that way you don't have to do the stupid, this one. But it's a way out as well if you want to secure certain things. All right, guys, that's to security. We're going to move on to the next thing. All right, guys. What we're going to do now is we're actually going to use events with emit to create a little component. Here beyond the events documentation, what do we have? I think it's this one from the component. You can emit events, and you can listen to events in components. So, it's not JavaScript events. Yeah, it's something separate that works on the PHP layer. You can as well trigger it from the code as JavaScript. Via JavaScript, I mean, and the components can listen to those and then trigger a function. You can pass arguments as well, and just for completeness, you can as well just pass browser events. You can actually send a browser event, which you would listen to normally, like in JavaScript. Yeah. But first, we're going to focus on the component to component events, yeah, and we're going to do this with a little example, like a very basic shopping cart. Yeah, first we're going to add Bootstrap though, so we're going to add it very simply. There's many ways you can add it, but we're just going to copy paste the easy way. Actually, the script goes at the bottom. Here's the script tag. Here's the CSS. All right, and so we added Bootstrap. Now let's get started with the new component or components. We're going to use multiple ones here. We're just quickly making sure that Bootstrap works. So we have all this neat Bootstrap colors and background colors. Let's add it like a border. Let's just like RB sane. Does it work? And it seems like my IDE got the border colors mixed up with Tailwind. That's okay. Primary, we add border and border primary. That should do the border for us. And we see it's a beautiful blue. So that works. So what we're going to do now is actually we're going to mock like some like a store online shop. We're not implementing an entire online shop. What we're going to do is just like we're going to mock simple shop items. We're going to give the ability to add them to a cart and then display the cart and edit some things. Yeah. So for this we're going to use this beautiful card from Bootstrap. So we're actually, yes, let's copy this. Okay, we do a for loop about multiple items, right? I'm just mocking this like this here. Usually, obviously, you would actually have items or something. Looks like this, not very pretty. We're gonna do the container. We're gonna fake some images too. There's this beautiful page called Pick Some Photos. And so this URL, it just spits out random photos if you open them. So when we insert it here, I think this is width and height. Just gonna give us random images. The problem is currently they're all the same. I think we can live with that because we call it at the same time. We could randomize it a little bit better. I mean, fixate, they can, I think you can ask for a specific ID. You can choose an image here, but we don't really care. So we just say ID and then give the number. Let's see if that works. Built for computers, maybe times 100, so times 10, so it's not computers. That's a lot better. Yeah, and now it's gonna be always the same. So to make it not look like complete trash, let's put it into a container. So I was looking, I added Bootstrap 5.1, right? And I was looking at using CSS Grid, even though it's not really well made in Bootstrap somehow. Don't ask me why, ask them. Like what I'm lacking is like something to control the column width, the column amounts. They have this inline style. They don't have it via utility functions, utility classes. I don't want to go into too much detail. I just noted this is opt-in, so we cannot use it. I wanted to use negative margins, and that's opt-in too. These negative margins are disabled by default. So it makes Bootstrap a little bit trashy. So I'm gonna do my own solution quickly. I'm just gonna spin up my own little function classes. Which is the missing ones we have. Oh, I'm not even sure though. Like how many rems is that? Is that 1 rem? MS is for margin start. So here we're gonna say margin start 3. Then we say here margin start. What am I doing? The container is negative. Oh, that's not exactly what I wanted. That's probably because it's not display flex. There you go. Where's the? We are missing the container. Lose the container, right? Let's put a margin top here as well. Margin top, -3. So this is the container of the cards. It's a margin -3. Here we say margin top 3. So this looks a little bit nicer, and flex wrap. If it doesn't fit, it wraps. We're not making a beautiful homepage here. I'm just using this as to showcase something, yeah? So we're happy with this for the moment. Let's actually do the shopping cart, like the mock of the shopping cart. Is there another cart here? Bag. Oh, this is more like it. This is probably it, right? Cart. Let's take the field one. Do you want to have a bunch of gold loaded minecart? I think this one is just gonna do fine. Do they give us SVG? They give us SVG. So let's we can do here if this works. modify content. It gives me the tailwind autocomplete, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I guess this is coming from Laravel somewhere, or just maybe from my IDE. I'm not the biggest fan of the autocomplete. I don't mind tailwinds, right? So here we do write shopping cart, and here we include the shopping cart icon. It should be, oh, it does something. Let's make it a little bit bigger. This is how you do it in 5.1. And we do both bigger, the icon and the text, and we it's white. Is it still the same? This didn't work. Why not? Probably we're missing something. I think it's probably to do with the class there. I'm not entirely sure, but for now we're okay with manipulating the width and height here. I don't think those classes do anything. It's just the SVG. Here we can put white. 2, 4, 5. It would be a lot nicer to have it like interact different, but we gotta go fast here. So where's it not working? Cursor pointer is the wrong class. I'm not even sure how to turn cursor pointer anymore in the new Bootstrap. I'm not sure what they were doing or thinking. Is it like really better now? Or is it me being too involved with Tailwind? I can do it like that. That should do it. There you go. We can actually turn it into a button. They still have buttons, don't they? Secondary. So we can get rid of this style. But this was only styling. Like, what are we doing here? Should we actually do the Livewire fun? You're totally right. You're totally right. Let's actually add these things as well in a container. Actually, let's just do it this way. Okay, that's a little bit nicer. Is it 1 here? Ah, it's my bad. Now it's flush, yeah? That makes more sense. We can just add here a spacer. And now let's start with the actual fun, which is starting with the Livewire stuff. So the idea is basically that you click add to cart here, and it's going to add something here and display it here. We're going to separate these two things into different components. You could even say in 2 different Livewire components. You could even argue that this is one Livewire component, which no, right? Probably not. But you want to add to cart and then see a number here. And in theory, you could click on this and then see your shopping cart. I don't think I'm going to implement that as well. I'm just going to go with the basic add to cart for now, and I think that will get you started on the idea. So let's create a new Livewire component, which is actually the card. And with card, I mean this symbol here. If you click on it, it would display the actual card, you know, which is maybe a little bit confusing if I don't implement it, but that's how it is for now, okay? So we're gonna make the shopping cart. And we're actually now thinking about it. Let's make another element, and it's going to be up here, and this is going to be a coupon code. All right. Coupon code apply. Let's start with the shopping cart. So popped up here. Now it's up to us. I think this is the shopping cart, actually this button. So Livewire shopping cart, there you go. Shopping cart. So here we are, we have the connection. Easy switch, it still works, does it? It certainly does. Now, we want to be able to add something there. To actually be able to add something, we would need like a component for all the cards. Yeah, not each card is a component, but like all of them together form a component. So actually, let's create that as well. Oh, my intention there. So the product selector just spits out the products. This is the product selector. A little bit tedious always selecting this, but it's worth it so we can switch back and forth. So this still works, right? It doesn't, because we copied it out and we didn't add it back in. Product selector. That goes together. It likes to have the styles that we defined here. Class. Let's copy this over. We can leave it here. Okay, now I want, when I click here, I want it to increase somewhere in my app the number of items I have in the shopping cart with the ID that is currently selected. Let's go to the product selector. Instead of just being href, say add to cart. Let me actually make a button out of this. We say wire click, that means on click, it should do something. Add product to cart. I like it to be very explicit, but people are different. They just like to use add, you know, because it's shorter. It's not shorter if you cannot find it anymore, but or if you just lose 10 seconds each time. So we say product ID here. The product ID is this faked ID. Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't matter for us currently. Usually you would take this out of the database, but we're too lazy to do this right now. We have to go fast. Okay. So we say add to cart, and this, let's just see if it works. Yeah. Okay, we have a 1, we have a 2, we have a 3. I hope you can see it. And we have a 4. This is exactly what we want. I'm not sure what is the error each time. There's a copy paste issue. Here, there's some more paste, white space there. Okay. Okay, it works. So actually what we do with the ID, we just store it in the session. So you could just write it here, session store. But what we actually gonna do, I mean the session set, we're gonna create our own little class. So we say, to keep everything nice and tidy, card services. Okay, this should create us a class. And it's just a utility class. We give it the static function of add item, add product. For items. First we retrieve the items in the session and then we set them. Not sure anymore how to use it. Is it put, get? Is this implicitly called get? Let's just be explicit. Let's just call get and then card items. I think here we can give a default. If we give null, it's going to be null. Then we do items. So the idea is we have an items array. It could be a collection as well, I guess. You can serialize them as 2, I think. So if it's null, like if there's no items in the cart, then if it's null, then we do something special, and if it's not null, we add to the array. We actually say items is array and items gets product ID added. We can optimize this probably. And then we do session put. We add it to the array. Items. This is not magical. This is whatever you want it to be. And we're gonna make a constant out of it, so you can do whatever here, huh? It doesn't really matter. It just needs to be the same each time you access the session. So this is going to add a product, and now we want to give a function of get all products, which just returns all products, which is probably this. Is he complaining about this get unhandled exception, really? And of course, we could use unit testing, but we're skipping through this. So add product to cart. Now we have our cart service that does this logic for us. If we import it, add product, and we add the product ID from above. So this goes in there. This then basically goes to the Laravel session and checks, do we already have things in the session? In the cart in this session, we use this key in the session for a cart service, basically, for the cart storage. If there is nothing, if it's a new case, then we just say new array and put this ID there. Let's add it to the existing, and we made a mistake here. These items too. I'm sure you noticed. And then we have the get products. Now we switch to the shopping cart. Yes, the shopping cart. And here in the view, there is like a thing called badges. Or is this opt-in as well? Like everything in badge, like this. Then it gets this beautiful number. Or is it opt-in as well? Let's see if it renders, or is it opt-in? I think this counts. Let's make it red, right? That's danger. Okay, 99 items, but this is not what we have. But we can call the cart service. App services, cart service. Get products. Just gives us what we have in the session. So let's add something. You see, nothing happens. String are we given? That's because of this. I need to do it like this. Size of. Actually, let's build a function. He was complaining I was giving an array there. Get product count. Return. Let's do this. We get the products. No, we don't. We size off. The products are 0. Or empty array, yes? Because get products can return null. Is this valid? Product count. And we have 3. We add to cart, and you see, nothing happens. That's lame. Why is that? No, but if I add to cart and then refresh, it shows me the update. It's because it's different components. One is the shopping cart component, the other one is the product selector. So how can we tell each other that something happened? This is the magical emit. Okay, it's not browser event, it's scoping events, no? From the component. We can add a event. So each time in the product selector we update something, we emit an event. shopping cart updated. And you want to be very explicit there. Like other people like to call it update because it's shorter, or you know, why not just call it plus? Then you, or up, or new, then you never find stuff. You're always like losing time because everything is called the same. Shopping cart updated. So we emit this event in the product selector, huh? Just to read, this is the product selector. This is the shopping cart. And here we actually listen to this protected shopping cart updated, and we give as a value a function. This can be called anything, it just needs to reflect the function name. And in this case, we don't have any parameters. We just do the beautiful cart service. Get products. Actually, let's do it like this. Instead of reading the count here, we access the Livewire component. Yeah, we'll access this is public, so it's accessible. And each time we listen to this event, then we increase the or adjust the count to what it is. Product count. Can we reload? It's null, which it shouldn't be because there's 10 in there, but let's press plus. That's 11. Okay, so we noticed before we render, when we set up, and this is where the boot comes into play, that I was like, weird, what is boot for? Lifecycle hooks. This is the right place to instantiate it. It runs at every request immediately after the component is instantiated, but before any other. Okay, basically, actually no, we run it in mount, not on boot. We don't need boot again. So on mount we set the count to product count. When we reload, it starts with 12, then we add bam, 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 it's firing events. And can we actually display multiple? Okay, that's to the events. That's pretty cool, no? Can we display multiple badges? What is it gonna do? Oh, it does work. No success, near danger. The idea is to show the price. And we would implement like a coupon system where you can apply coupon code and it would update the price. But you know what? I've been going on for long enough. I think this is already pretty cool without the coupon thing. What we can do instead of the coupon thing is we can remove from cart. Yeah, let's do that quickly. Product selector. Button secondary. Danger. Add product to cart. Now we do remove product from cart. Remove to cart from cart. Okay, it gives us a product ID. Instead we would create a remove function, but let's make something like what we would do now is this, right? We would add a remove product function, but actually let's make something unnecessarily complicated. So I can show another element of events. Yes, like usually I would just add like a remove function here. Let's do this. Let's say remove products with ID. We're just gonna remove all of them. It's not the typically thing you would do, but let's just keep it simple. Just for this example, otherwise we have to filter, like decrease one unset, you know, stuff in the array. So we get products. You know what, instead of null, let's just give empty array. No, this is not better. Null is not better. Instead of null, we get by default empty array, which makes the code easier. We don't have to like instantiate and deal with proms. So we can just get the products. So we have all the products. And now we want to delete all with this product ID. So we collect them, which makes it easier. Now we can just call filter, which is a collection method. I think key, or not even. I think key is 1, 2, 3, like the position in the array. Filter, actually this is product ID in this case. Oh. The remove product ID in the product ID. Doesn't have visibility to it, so we have to add this use. I'm not sure if it's stored as integer. Let's just quickly see what we're getting here. This is a problem of dynamic typing, no? You never know what you have, huh? The big advantage of statically typing. Remove all. Okay, what do we get? Nothing, because I didn't connect the... Why didn't you tell me, my dudes? Oh, it's still out. Remove products with ID. We're still gonna emit shopping cart updated. This 1 and 2. What does this mean? The product ID. So I want to remove the 2. The product ID we were iterating was 1. Is it like string or is it integer? Can I export this? It is string. So when I export with true, it's going to give out how it would serialize it, how it would display the, how it would do it in string form. So the reason I was doing is if I need 2 equals, or like I can actually cast things, of course. So after we collect this, we give it to array again. So we say self. Let's make this in 2 steps. One time we collect this, filter the products, and we set it again. Hot. Filter products, yeah, it's gonna override what we have in the session. We have 19 items. Remove all. Oh, we lost 4. And it updated. You see that? Jam. This is good to know. Isn't it a beauty? It's an absolute beauty. It works so well. Bam, bam, bam. We can remove all again. So, but I wanted to show something else. Namely, what if we don't want to do it here? What if we want to emit it to the, like, it doesn't make sense, but let's do it this way anyway. The reason it doesn't make sense is because we have access to this cart service that is like the middleman between the product selector and the shopping cart. Let's delete the coupon code applier. It's just confusing us. Yeah, we have like as middleman, we have this cart service, which makes life so much easier. But if you want to live life the hard way, you could have this too, okay? And so instead of removing it here in the product selector, let's just say this remove product from cart is actually, like, the logic is on a different place. Namely, it's on the shopping cart for whatever reason, yeah? Let's say event products need delete. Then we have params here, and then we say params the product ID. I'm just, maybe I shouldn't explain it this way. First writing the listener and then the event. But we listen to it and we want then, yes, to remove it here in the shopping cart, not in the product selector. How would we do it? We cannot just send shopping cart updated. We need to send something else. And actually what we can do as well is we can emit to. We can emit to a special component. But like, and then you give the let's just quickly do it. So we have the shopping cart here. Emit to shopping cart. I think this is right. And with product ID. So we are emitting an event. Actually, no, this is the event name, right? Name, event. Name is of the, okay, here's the event. A super long ID. Now it doesn't work, the code completion, but we can say listener. Okay, we're listening to this event. Remove all of these products with ID, and we're gonna call this when products needs delete function I prepared just done there. And hopefully this works. Let's look at the params before we do anything. refresh this, remove all. And we have product ID with 1. But I don't like it. First of all, this is unnecessarily complex. Right, let's add some. Remove all. Oh, it didn't even refresh the count. We can update it here. Card service. So we add a bunch, then we delete all. Bam, it's gone. But I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of this. And there's one main reason. This notation can get very complex here because you're going to be in folders. I don't know, like customer buy, and you know, and it gets all weird when it's capitalized. Like if buy is capitalized, you maybe have to write it like this. It's all weird and you always get it wrong. So personal preference, avoid the emit to, always use emit. This isn't really better. It's not. Just be like very, like write a long event name. It's just as easy to understand. This will work. Remove all. Yes. Okay. So we saw like events, simple events. We saw events that are sent only to one component. This is the component name, shopping cart. With parameters, you can set parameters here too, huh? It's the same thing. And yeah, we built this super easy, super smooth shopping cart solution. Now the next step would be that you can click on it and you actually see the shopping cart items, which would be another component as well. But it's not difficult, but it's just going to take some time, which we spent more than enough already. I'm going to check this in. I'm looking forward to your questions and comments, and of course, guys, hey, subscribe. We're the cool kids here. We actually give good advice. I give an opinion. Yeah, it's true. Like other people have other opinions, like call everything update. Yeah, it's up to you. I just think it's bad. It's gonna cause a lot of problems. So let's be explicit. We're already using a dynamically typed language. So let's make it not even, you know, less understandable what we're doing. And yeah, this is what's it about. I'm giving my opinion. I'm looking forward to your opinions. And keep it constructive, my dudes. But rather say something than say nothing, yeah? And hey, subscribe, like, share. And I'm really stoked about Livewire. I really like it. I think it has a missing piece, honestly. To wrap it up, I'm going to say this maybe. What I did is I was using session here to store information, to store a state, basically the cart, right? I store the cart items in a state in the session, which works well for shopping cart, because once you log out or something, then or it expires. How can I show you? For reload, it still works, but if I close the session, all the data is gone. Application. Isn't it here? Cookies. Oh, here's my session, yeah. So if I refresh this or clear all cookies, now like I had 5, I reload. Bam, it's gone. I get a new session. My card is gone. If I reload here, it works. I delete all the cookies, reload, and my session is gone. If you're like somewhere in between a normal session and like long term, then you have to store in database, obviously. But like something is missing, I feel, from Livewire. Like we have to do this interaction with the session, which is not optimal, to keep a state that the components share between each other. And it would have been nice that they provide something, but we can make it work this way too. Yeah. All right. Looking forward to you guys.